Welcome to the Rural Dispatch, the podcast delivering stories from rural America. I'm your host, Allie Behrens. Headquartered in rural Iowa, I help run a nationwide livestock transportation company, and I'm here to bring you stories from the people who help shape this industry and our rural communities. Whether you're a trucker, livestock producer, or rural entrepreneur, this show is for you. Each week, we explore the realities of rural business life, from the highways to the fields and everything in between. So buckle up and let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back to the Rural Dispatch. Today, I'm joined by Jeff Schroeder, a cattle feeder from Western Iowa, along with Smoke, who's sitting in as well. In our last episode, we talked about how most of our cattle are on feed in custom lots, so I wanted to bring in someone who works in it every day to give us a firsthand perspective. Jeff is also active in his church and County Cattlemen's Association. He has plenty of insight on the business of cattle feeding, so let's dive in. First things first, Jeff, you go by Bug.
Correct.
Let's talk about that for a minute. I don't just want to breeze by all these nicknames. We've got Smoke and Bug, so why Bug?
It's a long story.
Well, we got time.
I know. It's not long. I just say that just to deter people, and it never works. I was 8, 9 years old, and at that time, lice was going through the neighborhood, and my neighbor girls got lice in their hair and gave it to my sister, and she gave it to me, and I went around telling people I had bugs in my hair. And I was in church one day, and I was kind of thumbing through my uncle's hair, and he goes, "What are you doing?" I'm looking for bugs. He started calling me Bug Man. And went from Bug Man to Bug, Insect. I mean, I've been called all sorts of shit, but
Bug stuck.
Bug stuck.
I like it.
So 30 years, give or take, and kind of like Smoke.
Yeah.
Who's Jeff Schroeder? I don't know who it is. You know Bug?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know him.
Definitely heard.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You want to hear my theory? My theory is that they all stem from the Prohibition era. Back, like, all these bootleggers had nicknames so that they wouldn't get caught. Like, nobody knew who was actually moving stuff around.
Well, we're not doing anything shady, so
No.
If you want to call me by my real name, go ahead.
Yeah, we know a guy named Shady, too, but
Yeah. But all your brothers have nicknames, too.
yeah.
You know, because I just know your brothers because they feed cattle. You know, you have Bug, Rodeo, and Choke. Is there more brothers, or is
That's
it
it.
just you three?
Two brothers, two sisters. For some reason, all the guys get nicknames and the girls do not.
There's a lot of truth to that.
Mm-hmm.
Girls do not have nicknames. Well, they're too sensitive for a nickname.
I think you're right.
Yeah, that's just got a lot to do with it.
You call some girl Choke and they're going to take it the wrong way.
Okay, well, that's fair.
See?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us your story. Smoke just said that your brothers feed cattle too. How have you always done this? How'd you get started?
Growing up, my grandpa fed cattle, Sac County. Grandpa, dad, brothers, uncles.
Your dad did feed cattle.
Yes.
Okay.
He did. Yep.
Where you live at?
So they had an outside yard there, but it started where Choke lives, my brother. That was the big feed yard, had a feed mill. That was the source of everything right there. I was always around it. I was 16, and Choke and Rodeo would always hang out in the office in the shop, or not the shop, the feed mill. And about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it was time to drink beer. So Rodeo said, "Hey, I want you to come learn how to feed." I'll go with him, learn how to feed. And since that day, I've been feeding cattle because they could sit and drink beer. "Hey, Bug, go feed that load, feed this pin, this many pounds. We'll be sitting here." I wasn't drinking beer at 16, so started then, and
Here we are.
here we are today.
Do any of your brothers, do they work together? Or you guys all three kind of do your own thing?
All separate.
Yeah.
We help each other out when needed.
Yep.
I mean, you need help, they call.
Right.
Call, whatever.
Yep. Now, do they feed their own cattle, or are they custom?
A little bit of both.
What about you? Custom or all your own? Or both?
A little bit of both. Right now, it's about 2/3 my own, 1/3 custom.
What's the other third, us?
You're a portion of it. I always ask, I don't want to hurt his feelings if give him the option to say no.
That's fair. Well, he doesn't tell. We just went to look at a new pen of cattle last night. It was news to me, so I don't always get told.
That's how it always goes. You guys have a good portion.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Sometimes I don't know if we're just driving through your place to check out what you got going on, or if we're actually looking at our own cattle.
That's okay. That's okay. It's nice to have the cash flow, but it can be a pain in the ass. Depends who you're working with.
Well, yeah, that's true. Okay, speaking of being in your business, you just put up a new building.
Yes.
That's pretty nice.
I try to be humble. It's nice because it's new. I'm sure there's improvements, but it is. I like it. Like it a lot. Last fall of 24, put up 600 head slatted barn, and that's new for me. I enjoy it. Like it. It's easy. I have 2 other barns, and those are bed pack barns, 500 head each.
Which do you prefer?
It's too early to tell maybe, but the bed pack is more work, but I'm used to it now. Went from having dirt lots, scraping all the time, hauling dirt, all that, to I've got a schedule. I know Monday I clean pens, bedding cattle. Thursday I bedding. I kind of have a schedule, and I can stick to it. That slat barn, you feed them, you walk through them, and that's it. It's nice.
I think one thing we can all be in agreement of, though, is if the weather is ideal, you will never beat a dirt pen.
I agree. 100%.
I mean, one thing about a barn is they are consistent. Probably don't matter which barn it is, whether it's a bed pack or a slatted, they're just consistent. But if that weather is ideal, you will never beat a dirt pen. I mean, them cattle, you'll just walk out there and they just look. They look great.
But you do remember, we're in Iowa.
Yeah. So the weather is not always ideal, which is why people have diverted to barns.
Yeah.
But also it's less time consuming, especially the slats. You could feed 2,000 head on your own. All you gotta do is feed them.
Yeah.
Feed them, walk through them. That's your day. Treat what needs treated.
There's always something.
Right. Like will you pump once or twice a year?
I think twice. That's the plan. I think I have to.
Gotcha.
I'll know more. Give it a year.
As time goes on, right?
Figure it out as you go.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now I have 1,500 head, give or take, and it's just me. I've got time. Hell, I'm here today.
Yeah.
Right.
Time management.
That's a good point.
Time management's been a big thing. Mandy, my wife, always says I maybe put the cattle first and they're like second.
That's a guy thing.
Yeah.
I think that's just typical. I know that I'm second to trucks and cattle. I'm actually probably third. Our boys probably come. They kicked me out of the passenger seat a long time ago. Okay, so what does a normal day look like for you? I mean, every day is probably a little different, but what's the day to day?
Get up, chores. When my kids are in school, I will get up. Depends on the day. If I'm got a lot of shit going on, I'll get up at 5 o'clock, go outside, feed 2-3 loads, take me 45 minutes, come back inside about 6, help Mandy with the kids, get them ready, get them out the door. They leave, I'll go back out, finish feeding, and you never know what the day's going to throw at you.
Right.
It's when you least expect it. If I'm busy or I sleep in, it doesn't fail. I'll have a sick one, sore foot, dead one. Something will break. I mean, the whole day falls apart.
Do you feed once or twice a day?
I only feed once a day.
Gotcha.
I have the bunk space.
Do you think that's a lot of reasons people feed twice a day is bunk space?
Some people, I think, do. Some guys, I think they're just used to it. I mean, that's all they've done.
All right.
Feed twice a day. I've fed twice a day. I don't
see a huge advantage yourself.
Starting cattle. My feed guys help me quite a bit to manage my bunks, look at them, and it's all one place.
Now, what do you use for a feed program?
I use Performance, PLA, Performance Livestock Analytics.
Does that help you quite a bit?
That's a game changer. It's so nice.
Because there's multiple different programs out there.
I used to have one, but you had to enter your feed every day, every week, write it down on a sheet of paper. And I'm a numbers guy. Like I sat down,
always crunching numbers.
I had to convince Mandy, like, hey, this is $150 a month. How can I justify this? And it didn't take but a couple of days of too much corn, didn't bill enough feed out to that pen. Yeah.
So especially if you're custom feeding for people.
Yeah.
You can't go without
exactly.
a program. I mean, it's just not even possible anymore. I mean, Granted, I get it. They did it for years, but this ain't the 80s
No, I know.
no more. So,
Tight margins.
yeah, we do. Well, think about it. I mean, these days, we got $3,000 wrapped up in one animal, roughly. We hope we make $75 a head.
Yeah.
When we personally started back in the early 2000s, we were still hoping to make $75 a head. And we had $1,000 invested in that animal. We're hoping for the same profit, and we got 3 times the money involved. There's no room for error.
No, none. I've had some family members hit me up like, hey, we want to feed some cattle. Can we feed some cattle with you? What do you expect for a return? I'm like, $50 to $100. They start doing the math like, well, that's not even 5%. I'm like, yeah. I know.
There's probably a better place for your money.
Yeah.
We had one of our really good friends text me here. Do you care if I partnered on a pen of cattle with you? And I said, if you want to guarantee, I would not do that. Like, if you got balls,
Feeding cattle is not for the faint of heart.
We'll do it.
If
but
you need a write-off, there's a good chance we can get you on.
Yep. Only problem is the write-off company ain't paying for it.
No.
You're right. But I just told him, I go, that is not a good idea. I said, some people like doing it because a lot of people just like saying they own cattle.
Yeah.
And I just told him, I said, if you think you want to own cattle, we can do it. But I said, if you're just looking for somewhere to put your money, do not do this, because the risk to reward it's not there.
I kind of push guys away from that too. Like, if I'm going to feed cattle to someone, I want it to be with a cattle feeder, someone that's been in the business.
Right.
How did you two meet?
The first time I really think we probably met is Missy's mom's retirement party.
You're probably right.
Oh, okay.
That is no bullshit.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I met you through producers way back.
Oh, a long time ago.
Way back in the day.
Yeah.
Probably around the same time I met Smoke, I would guess. I don't know. So I've known you for a while through that. Yeah. I was curious how you two, if it had always been a back and forth
I
thing.
knew Smoke, knew of him, but never.
I don't know that I ever met you.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not going to say I hadn't met you through maybe running around chokes or something, but, I had hauled some cattle in and out of chokes, I think, for producers.
Yep.
And then I fed a couple pens up at rodeos.
Yep.
So I knew both of your brothers, but I think the first time I met Bug, and that was only
2 years ago.
2 years, yeah.
I mean, we've done a lot in 2 years.
That's for sure.
I mean, as far as now we feed cattle together and trucking and
Talk how many times a week?
yeah, you make your rounds.
You left that out in your daily schedule. You have a roster you go through.
Well, if I don't make the call, they do. And then they're like, hey, everything okay? Yeah. Why? Well, you didn't call me this morning. I'm like, oh, man, I was busy.
You would make a great dispatcher.
You would, actually. If you ever have any spare time, like you do today.
Yep. Like I do today.
Where do you source your cattle from? We do some of your trucking, so I have an idea, but you get some local too?
I don't. I do not. It seems like there's a lot of competition local.
Cattle just cost more around here.
They do.
And I don't get that. There's a lot of good quality around here. I mean, there really is. People take care of their cattle around. I mean, when they go to the barn, they got good condition.
Well, we've got the feed here. I mean, they have good looking cows, good genetics. We've come a long ways. Ever since I started buying cattle myself, it wasn't until COVID, after COVID, got to know some people, and a lot of them came south, east, and haven't changed it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, like a lot of Oklahoma cattle, Kentucky.
Oklahoma. Yeah, Kentucky.
You get some stuff out of Virginia. We haul for out of Virginia.
There's a few out of there. I got one group I like to get every year.
Every year.
I get that phone call, and there's a lot of truth in after you feed a group of cattle and know how they do, you want them again.
Yeah.
That's true.
Group of Virginia cattle you'll get this year. I mean, that'll be, I think, the 4th year I'm getting them. And I got some out of Oklahoma that I'm on my 4th or 5th year getting them, and good guys. Nice to find that relationship.
It is. It's just nice to feed the same cattle, too.
We've drove to Texas a couple summers ago, and I really like meeting those guys. Stopping by there, seeing the cattle, meeting the guys, letting them see me and my family, and putting a face to the name.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what's hard. I mean, there is so much in this business that's just done on a phone call and a virtual handshake.
There ain't contracts.
No.
These guys from Oklahoma, There's no contract. Yep, I'll take them for this. Yep, sounds good.
Yep.
There's still some good guys out there.
Yeah, that is just the business we're in. There's no doubt about that. And it's the same way in hauling them. There's no confirmation sheet or contract. If you haul anything else freight wise or whatever it may be, everything has a confirmation sheet. This is what you're doing and this is what it's going to pay.
I don't know the last time I've had to sign one of your sheets.
I mean, if we go to a big feedlot, I tell them guys get a signed bill of lading, but we haul for a lot of family feeders and they're our friends anyway.
Yeah.
I just had to run and pick one up a couple weeks ago. He called. He goes, "Hey, I don't know what happened, but it's gimping around and sort off. I'll run over and grab it." That's the nice part about hauling for people we know. They call you up if there's a problem. I mean, we're just going to hash it out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, and there's a relationship there. It's not the end of the world. Whereas something goes wrong with some bigger feedlot or something, they're just not going to call you back.
Right.
Yeah. I've done that. If something's too high priced, well, I'm not going back there. I've also tried to if I really don't want to deal with this person, I'm just going to charge them more because I don't want to tell them no. Just let them not come back.
Let them make the decision to not come back.
I like to be a yes man. I can do that. Yeah, we can do that.
How many partners do you think you got?
This performance livestock, it's easy to tell you, and it's just out there. You can be 5% of one pin, 10% of another, and it's simple. But right now I have 3, 4, 5, 6 partners.
Okay.
Spread across 8 different pins. I've got guys anywhere from 10% up to 30%.
Okay.
So it's easy to keep track of. And
super easy with performance beef. Man, they just make it easy for people.
Oh, it's so nice. It's convenient.
Now, if you ever have an issue, not that we're promoting performance beef by any means, but
no.
Have you ever had an issue with their program?
I did. They had a new download come out.
Oh, they had an update.
Yeah, the inventory update. And I was pissing around with it one night, and all of a sudden, all my NEGs and NEMs, all my feed, the energy and stuff just went to 0.
Ooh.
Which doesn't sound like a big deal, but any cattle feeder on here they'll understand. But I made a phone call at 6:00 at night to a guy I know, and by 10:00 he sent me a text like, "Yep, hey, it's fixed. You're up and going." I'm like, "Thank you."
That's pretty nice.
Need it that fast? If I don't do stuff right away, I seem to forget about it. My wife's good about reminders and the calendar, and I didn't put this in the calendar for today. I'm lucky I didn't get my ass chewed. You didn't have that in the calendar. What are you doing? Where are you going? We're loading cattle here next week, whatever. It's you got that in the calendar? Yes, I do. It's there.
That is not the way it goes at our house.
Well, I do not keep tabs on you. I have no idea what you're doing day to day.
Part of my time management, Allie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe I should spend some time with Mandy and get this all figured out.
I don't know if we need you two together too much.
Maybe you shouldn't.
Plotting against us.
Right.
I don't know about that.
Any big challenges or hard lessons you've had to learn?
Yeah, 2015.
Oh,
that was a hard lesson.
Yep.
Big challenge.
Were you on your own?
No, I was not.
Okay.
I was feeding with my brother. I only went to college for a year and a half, but I paid for a doctorate out of that whole deal. I feel like anyhow.
Yeah.
Learned way more. It took a few years. Came out of that. I just remember that everything was nice and rosy and then just dropped.
All of a sudden we're losing $600 a head and it was ugly.
I was so green to everything. I didn't realize, didn't know nothing.
Well, that's why we hedge.
Yes.
We usually just hedge 50%.
Yep.
But with producers, we started putting orders in. A couple months ago, we watched this board just continually go up. And it's well, if it's going to keep going up, let's put some April orders in for 190. And then we'll put a couple more in for 192. And then we'll put a couple more in for 194. And it's
I'll be damned, they all hit.
And if it hits, great. And if it don't, well, we're not out any more than we would have been doing initially what we do anyway. And they hit.
Yeah. Blew right past it.
Blew right past it. Yeah. And then you're should have waited.
Yeah.
Every time, hindsight's 20/20 type of deal. You got to be happy with the decision you make. And I feel like you almost have to be consistent with your program too. Like, don't do it this way one time and don't do it.
Don't switch it up on every pen. Otherwise, that's when you get bit in the ass.
Yeah.
Agreed.
If yours consistent, it'll pay off eventually.
But it's
Ride
like
the waves.
it's like feeding at your place. Some of them are packer contracted, and some of them we have hedge. We do have protection of some sort on everything, and I think a lot of people are that way anymore.
I think so.
That I think they just have some sort of protection, whether it be an LRP or put call spread or hedge.
Do you use LRP? Have you ever used it?
I have. I'm not a big fan of it.
I can't wrap my head around it. I don't understand why you wouldn't just use the put, I guess. There's the after hours aspect, but I'm not paying attention close enough.
I was always told growing up, like, your money, it's all in the buy. If you bought that animal and there's money in it, I lock it up. If I have $150 in this steer I bought, I'd rather have $150 today. Going back to what Smoke said about my buildings, they're consistent. Any issues I've had, I've made improvements to address that to where I know I can consistently do something. I don't want to be greedy. I don't want to go back to 2015.
Right.
I'm getting older to where I crawled out of that hole. I don't want to go back.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
nice.
And there is no buys anymore. Really, where you have to make your money is you got to be efficient in feeding them.
Agreed. Consistent gains, consistent performance.
There's no deals in buying the cattle. It's like it don't matter where you're looking, they're all going to cost the same delivered.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Right. I mean,
go to Kentucky, buy a steer, it costs you the same as come out of
Oklahoma. Yep, it'll cost
Nebraska.
the same delivered.
Yeah.
Yep. Just
agreed.
No deals. And at that point, it's just what you prefer for cattle.
Where do you get most of your cattle? Not to start asking the questions, Allie. Sorry.
Just take over.
Well, a lot of what I do is partner stuff anyway. It's no secret we feed a lot of feeding cows. All of them come locally. We got a buyer that runs around all the local barns. Otherwise, the feeders that we feed on our own, obviously I like to buy from guys that I haul from.
Yeah.
A lot. We just got some partner cattle in Friday. They come out of Kansas. We're loading some more partner cattle this coming Wednesday in Kansas. So same, kind of everywhere. We do like feeding the California cattle that come in the summer. We had a little bit of tough luck with this last group, and I still don't really know why. I think just bad luck.
I think because we got steers instead of heifers and just the male species.
Are you trying to say something, Allie?
I think I'm going to try and get some more. That way I can bring some yearlings in October, November. Get them California calves, background them, and then that way I got some yearlings. Your yearlings are a little tougher to find in October, November, because it's typically all calves around that time. We'll see. Kind of like everybody. Running short on money, too. I mean, everything is just...
Oh, isn't that true?
Now you can only feed, just say, 1,000 head with the same amount of money you used to be able to feed 1,800.
Yeah. I know my biggest thing, my banker and I get along real well. I packer contract, edge. If I'm going to have protection, I have a little more room.
Right.
More borrowing power.
Yeah.
The risk is not as great. So that's my other incentive to kind of lock it up and smaller margin, more head.
Yep. That's exactly right.
That's my goal. I don't need to make $300 a head on 500 head. I'd just soon try to make 100 on 1,500. Or
you don't need to, but if it happens, we're not going to be mad.
That's exactly right. That's right.
Do you have any hired guys, or does anybody?
No, I don't. It's just me. I've got a handful of guys that when it's time to work cattle, I'll make a phone call, line it up. What day can we work these cattle?
Yep.
One of them drives truck also. The other one dispatches for hogs. My nephew, I don't ask my brothers for much, not for no reason, but I got a nephews that really good help. A little more patient, I think. Seems like my brothers come, they're like, okay, what do you got to do? Let's get this done. And I'm kind of a little more slow it down, get it done. So I don't have to hire anyone. Just pay them cash, pay them good, and they'll show back up.
Right.
kind of nice.
So like around Carroll County, a lot of people just call the vet.
Yeah.
And the vet comes and sets their chute up. But you get away from Carroll County, and I mean, everybody just does it themselves.
Yeah. That's how I've grown up. Like with rodeo and choke growing up, we just did it all. And talking to a lot of people from Carroll County, they get the vet. I'm like, well, why? I get it. It's nice. They bring some help, but we've always done it. It gets hard to, what vet do you call if I have a question?
I went to a cattleman's deal in Greene County a couple months ago, and that was one of the issues that a couple guys brought up was finding vets in these rural communities, finding kids that want to come back and be a vet, and not just the small animal vet.
Yeah.
A lot of it sounds like because they're
shoulder deep in a cow.
Yeah. Well, I think we're really lucky in Carroll to have a vet that will come out and do that.
We have multiple vets.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't ever tell you no, I guess. Not that we use them very much, but
Carroll's a good-sized community and a lot of cattle feeders.
There's a lot of cattle feeders.
I talked to the BV County vet Saturday night at the Cattleman's, and he's 60-something. He's all by himself up there.
Oh.
Yeah, he had a guy with him, and like you said, Allie, didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't like the hours.
Yeah, because think about it. If you're the only guy or one or two guys, you've got all of these producers to serve. You're always on. I mean, they have an emergency. You're getting called.
That's what he said, 24/7.
Yep.
He's on call.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then, you can't price yourself. I mean, you can only charge so much, and what's it worth?
Well, and your shoulders and your knees, they can only take so much. So, for us cattle feeders, it's not as big of a deal, I don't think. But for the cow guys, you're calving, drop a calf, middle of the night, have complications. That wouldn't be fun.
No, that's a bigger emergency than we would see typically. I mean,
Yeah.
We don't have anything that's really so pressing.
We would have to call them out at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Like at that point, we just wait till 8 when they're in the office.
Most of my issues are health issues. I call my feed guy. Hey, this is what's going on. What do you think? And
right, what do you give them?
And a lot of that's pretty broad anyhow, but
yeah,
get some hairy heel-wart. I think that's a
common thing. That is a very common thing anymore. Do you think is that more of a barn thing, or is that outside also?
So I've talked to a couple guys. They have it outside. I think it's more of a barn thing, maybe because all the cattle are in a confined space.
Yeah. What about? I mean, I'm sure you can. Can you get it in the slatted?
I believe so. I don't have it in there yet, and hopefully not. I'm trying to make sure I keep everything.
Do a lot of preventative.
I do.
You run them through just on a schedule?
I don't.
Oh, you don't?
Not unless if there's anything limping or I see a problem, then I will treat it, but I don't do it if I don't have to.
Okay. Gotcha.
I don't, I know some guys do.
Some guys just do a preventative.
Yeah, I have my theories and opinions, and I can keep them to myself. And
that's the whole thing about it. Everybody's got their own opinion.
And everybody has a different tolerance for what they'll deal with.
Yeah.
Very true. I'll get it figured out eventually.
Well, yeah, it's all trial and error.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big problem. You talk to all the feeders, some of them have a big problem, and it's very expensive. A year ago, I had that problem. Didn't have a foot bath. Those cattle, compared to my performance livestock program, they were missing 100 pounds.
Oh, absolutely.
Sent them out.
Yep. They come out 100 pounds short.
Oh, yeah. That was.
And looked horrible.
Just slab-sided and just like they weren't finished.
Yep.
It was, not fun.
Yeah, that hairy heel, that's a nasty thing.
It's costly, but adapt.
Adapt and overcome.
Adapt and overcome.
That's right.
Yeah,
I like that.
Exactly.
Always.
That's exactly right.
What's one thing you would want someone outside of our industry to know about what you do?
You're welcome. Just good meat every day. Like what it takes to do this sometimes. It's a job. I think it's a passion. I love my job. Every day. Wake up, go feed cattle, love it.
One thing that sucks is we could put all the money we have invested in cattle into a CD and guarantee ourselves probably more percent back on our money with zero risk. versus feeding cattle. And here we are.
I know.
Taking the chance. But with risk comes reward.
Yes.
If you're willing to take the risk once in a while.
It's not only on the money side either. I mean, you get to enjoy what you're doing every day. How miserable would you be sitting in an office somewhere with a guaranteed paycheck?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
I couldn't be a stay-at-home dad.
Oh, yeah.
I
well,
couldn't sit in an office.
if I didn't have cattle, what am I going to drive around, drink beer, and look at?
Oh.
You know, I don't want to look at other people's cattle.
I don't drive around and drink beer because hey, I'm going to go check cattle. I walk out there, grab a beer, and walk through my place, and I need the exercise anyhow.
Well,
maybe you should start walking.
You know what? That's a very good point.
You asked me earlier, like, what's my day like? Mandy had some friends over from South Dakota, Sioux Falls, one weekend, and they spent the night with us Friday night. Next morning, I get up early, go get chores done, and I'm back in the house so I can have breakfast with them, sit down, and have a good weekend. And she looks at me just dead serious, like, so what do you do all day? I'm like, what? Like, you're done feeding cattle. Like, what do you do all day? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I wasn't offended. She knows I'm a smart ass, and I just kind of flick her some shit. And I said, well, come hang out with me for a day. You'll probably be tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Last Thursday, just a day that was extremely busy. I didn't get up early. I kind of slept in a little bit. And it was just one thing after another. And I had 2 side dumps show up to haul shit. I had to load them. I had to do chores. Hay grinder was coming. Had a load of syrup show up. I had corn coming. Grind, like you said, it was everything. And it was all day. Had to bed cattle, scrape pins. And I'm telling you what, by 5 o'clock, it was all done. And I didn't stop. It was a good day.
I'm the same way. If I don't get up and get out of the house early,
yeah,
I am immediately crabby starting my day.
That's true.
You know that. If I stick around and help ship them off to daycare, that just starts my day horrible. And if I'm not busy through the whole day, you can just count on me being crabby. The busier I am, the better mood I'm in.
I told Mandy that this winter. There was plenty of shit going on. My alarm would go off 5 o'clock, and I'd sit there and like, do I want to get up? And I think, if I get my ass out of bed and go feed 3 loads, I'll come back in the house in a way better mood, running up the stairs, wanting to see the kids instead of like, okay, get your ass up. It's time to go.
Because that's how, if I'm around, I'm going, God damn it.
Yeah.
Get your shit on. Let's go. Let's get out the door. Like, I'm sick of being here. Let's get moving. And I think I'm that way because I know in my mind, my guys are already here.
Yeah.
And I do not feel right that, by the time I got here, we got 3 bottle calves right now. They had the bottle calves fed already, and we're off mixing.
Allie doesn't do that in the morning?
I know you wouldn't think that looking at her TikTok, would you?
I know.
All right.
I take my shift. Dennis has to have something to do. He's getting paid to be here. I'm not.
But, I feel horrible. But, by the time I got here, he had an hour's worth of work done.
Yeah, that's okay. You know what? Your boys will thank you someday. Maybe.
They love them calves.
They do.
Absolutely love. Like, that's the highlight of their day. I'll probably be sad if I take them Dunlap tomorrow.
You know what? There'll always be another one.
There will be.
Mandy asked me last night, like, why do they have so many calves? Like, I had explained to her, like, you're buying cows.
Right.
That's just a chance you take.
That's the reward part of the risk, I guess.
We call them a bonus.
That's right.
I was running around Friday night picking cows up and had a buddy snap me from Wisconsin, and he feeds day-old babies is what he does. He snapped me. I snapped him back, and he called. It is so cool talking to other people. He's feeding cattle too, but in a totally different aspect of what we do.
Have you ever seen that movie, The Cowboy Way?
I definitely have. Okay. This little guy thinks how's he say that?
This guy thinks your wiener's
his mama's tit. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
So that's so funny. Her dad was here yesterday.
He helped feed the bottle.
He helped feed the bottle calf. And that one, he's feeding this one bottle calf. And the other one's like nudging him. And I asked him the same thing. I said, hey, Gene, you ever seen Cowboy Way? He goes, oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know how many people haven't seen that movie?
Yeah, it's just shocking to me.
Well, I'm one.
You've never seen Cowboy Way?
No. You name a movie, I probably have not seen it.
You sent me this question, and you asked, what's a skill everyone should learn? My opinion. So, like, my place, like all the plumbing for my new barn and all my everything else, I did it. I'm not a plumber. I don't have the crack.
You did it yourself.
Yeah. I like that because then I know if something's wrong. I got the parts. I can fix it. The electrical, I can do it. Like, I'll do it. But, man, if I can pay that guy to do it, my time's worth a little more doing the other things. Get it done.
Yeah. I know you could probably do it, but electrical, that's one of them deals. You should probably really bring somebody in that.
At least check it over.
I know just enough to be dangerous, but that's 2 skills, I think, like farming, feeding cattle.
All right. Well, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Till next time. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Rural Dispatch. I hope you found something valuable to take back to your own operation. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. You can keep up with me between episodes on socials at Barons & Co. or join our email list on our website to get new episodes delivered straight to your inbox every Wednesday. Until next time, keep those wheels turning. We'll talk soon.